Hello there! Today I'm reacting to another video by the channel Not Just Bikes. You can find the link to the original video in the description of this one. And this one is titled Even Small Towns Are Great Here. This is 5 years in the Netherlands. They uploaded this video after being living in the country for 5 years. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. And their channel is amazing. I've reacted to plenty of their videos. They're one better than the other. So yeah, let's learn about small towns in the Netherlands. Let's go.
We've lived in the Netherlands for 5 years now, and during that time we've been to many different cities and towns. Now, obviously I talk about Amsterdam a lot on this channel because...
Yeah, and especially, sorry if I'm stopping, but whenever I'm reacting to stuff and I'm telling something about Amsterdam, there's many subscribers that tells me there's so many better cities in the Netherlands than Amsterdam. So I hope today they're gonna show us some of those cities. And of course, if you have some cities that you think, oh my god, you need to check out this city, you will fall in love with it, let me know the name of that city, because I definitely want to be checking it out.
That's the city I live in, but I routinely show clips from other places that I've been to in the country. A lot of the time, I didn't go to these places specifically to film.
What? DHL, they bring you the boxes like that. What the hell? Is this a bike or a scooter?
They were just some of the places I had to go because I was going to an appointment or visiting friends or just living my life. And while I grabbed a few video clips here and there, I never collected enough footage to make a complete video about any of these places, especially in the early days. But a lot of these places are really interesting, and
so
I think you'll find them
beautiful.
interesting too, because one of the things that really, honestly, just blew me away after moving to the Netherlands is just how good things are pretty much everywhere.
That was
When we got to the Netherlands, we tried to get out of the city as much as possible to get to know our new country. Before I had a YouTube channel, I used to take photos or videos of things I found interesting, and it's really funny to look back on a lot of what I thought was worth filming. Most of these videos are too short as they were never meant to be posted to YouTube, so you'll have to excuse me if I have to loop some of them. So anyway, let's begin. We have visited the city of Haarlem several times, both before moving to the Netherlands and after, as it's an easy trip from Amsterdam by train. Visiting Haarlem for the first time was a really eye-opening experience for me, as it was the first time I realized that even a city of about 160,000 people could be really active and lively, and I talked about that in the very first video on this channel. My hometown has over 3 times the population, and you'd need a 50-car pileup to see this many people outside of their cars at one time. This is entirely because of the design of Haarlem and its pedestrianized city center. I took our kids to Leiden to visit the Natural History Museum, again, trivially easy to access by train and a short walk. This is literally the only video I took of Leiden, this crosswalk. This amazed me because it was such a safe crossing, where the street was narrowed with this big pedestrian island. Oh, okay. I was clearly easily impressed in those early days, but seriously, this would not exist in any city this size in Canada, and that's really sad, right? I did a similar thing in the town of Harlingen, where the only video I took was this one. Again, of a safe crosswalk. In this case, the crossing is raised to slow down drivers. If you live in Canada, you have to get all your neighbors together and fight for years to get something like this installed, but in the Netherlands, they're just all over the place and usually installed by default.
But I think it's like that everywhere in Europe, right? I don't know. I feel it's the same even here in Italy.
While we were attending some speed cubing competitions, this meant that we had to travel to some very random places in the Netherlands. This is Lent, which is basically a suburb of Nijmegen. We hadn't been in the Netherlands for long at this point, so everything was new to us. I remember it being so amazing that we could so easily take a train to the other side of the country, and when we got there, it was safe for our whole family.
I mean, that's normal. They come from Canada. I do have a channel where I react to Canadian stuff. You can check it out. It's Canada Mauro. It's pretty easy to find. And I mean, of course, if you know anything about geography, you will know that it's the second biggest country in the world. And from one side of the country to the other side of the country, there's like 4,000.5 kilometers. That's crazy. That is like going from, let's say, Lisbon to, I don't know, Kazakhstan, something like that. I don't know. That's crazy. I think it was even more than from Lisbon to Moscow. Yeah, definitely more. That's pretty crazy if you ask me. So of course, it's not gonna be that easy to connect such a huge country.
Including our kids, to cycle by themselves to the neighboring town. There was also this separated bicycle path that I remember thinking was really high quality, especially in such a small city.
Oh, that's just for bikes. That is, wait, that is just for bikes. This look like an actual road. So you just go by your bike on this? No, I don't think so. I think you can go by car on this one. I don't know, it might be. I mean, it's the Netherlands after all.
Path that I remember thinking was really high quality, especially in
Wow.
such a small city. This bridge was really cool too, and it was interesting how they cut through this old tower to build
Wow.
this bicycle path. I remember
That is
thinking
so
that
cool.
only the Netherlands would care enough about bicycle infrastructure to do this.
Probably.
The other fascinating thing about Lent was that it felt very suburban with lots of single-family homes, but it was still perfectly safe to cycle through, and there were so many families out on bicycles. These kind of suburban streets cut off to through traffic by
We should definitely check out some videos about like architecture, you know, Dutch homes and stuff like that, because I'm looking at the houses and they are so beautiful. I really love the design, the colors. Here in Italy, the color is always that pale yellow, most of the houses, so it's pretty boring. No, not the houses, mostly buildings. Yeah, it's really boring. So when I see lively colors like this on houses, to me, it's so impressive.
cars are ideal routes for cycling without having to build any dedicated cycling infrastructure at all. There are no bike lanes needed here because the speed and volume of cars was so low. Suburban streets, lined with single-family homes but still safe for cycling, just absolutely blew our minds. Another speed cubing competition was in Ermelo. Again, our destination in this small
I didn't even know that was a thing. Speed cube, Rubik cube.
town was easily accessible by train
So
plus bicycle.
interesting.
What amazed me was that a town this small, 27,000 people, would have so many trains going to it, and with a ridiculous amount of bicycles parked out front. The other thing that surprised me was the traffic calming. That's the infrastructure that's used to slow and restrict car traffic. So many streets were cut off to car traffic, and again, it was easy to cycle everywhere without any dedicated cycling infrastructure. I talked about this in one of my very early videos about traffic calming on this channel. This one little town had more traffic calming measures than I've seen in literally any city of any size in Canada. And when it comes to small towns in Canada, they're all extremely car-centric. They are legitimately terrible places to be, despite them being small enough to easily cycle from one end to the other. So being in a small town that wasn't lined with strip malls and overrun by cars was just incredible. It really became clear to me that to make a place friendly for cycling, it was more important to restrict cars than it was to build a bunch of expensive bicycle infrastructure. After all, protected bike lanes are really just an extension of car infrastructure, right? You don't need bike paths if you don't have a lot of cars. We also attended a
And the crazy thing, if you think about it, is that they actually did that in the Netherlands. That is not one of the places with the best weather ever, you know? It would have made more sense maybe in Spain or in, yeah, no, Italy. I wouldn't say Italy because like in the north, we don't have the best weather for sure. But like Spain, they have like a way better weather than we have. So you would imagine like something like that happening in Spain or maybe Greece, one of the places where it's mostly sunny. Well, it's not like that. It's in a place in central north slash central Europe. That's pretty crazy if you ask me. Wow. Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, it definitely makes you want to bike when you see those roads with not many cars. Yeah, I always feel a little bit scared to go by bike. Actually, I live in a small city, but still, there are so many cars.
Speed cubing
Prefer to
competition in
walk.
Veenendaal. This town deserves its own video someday, as it's often considered to be the best city for cycling in the Netherlands.
Oh,
The exit to the train station is right at this nice cycling path, and it connects directly to this pedestrianized shopping center. Totally accessible by foot or by bicycle without ever interacting with any cars at all. And this isn't even the main train station. This is the Suburban station in a place with only 65,000
Wow.
people. Like, I would absolutely never see this in Canada anywhere, never mind
so
the
many
suburbs
bikes.
of a small city. We took a vacation to Terschelling, an island in the North Sea. I was amazed that we could take a train directly to the ferry, and when we got to the island, we could rent e-bikes and cycle everywhere. We were even staying on a farm, like an actual rural farm, and it was still easily accessible by separated
Amazing.
paths that were only used by bicycles and tractors. This country never ceases to amaze me. We went on vacation to a small camping area outside of Ommen. Again, small town, 18,000 people. Obviously, a lot of people drive here, but there are still alternatives for walking and cycling. I drove around to take a look at the town and saw traffic calming everywhere. Look at the traffic calming on this main residential street. There is no way this would exist in a town this small in North America. This street would be wide and straight, high speed, and have lots of cars. People would have signs on their lawns telling drivers to slow down, and nobody would let their kids out in the street. It's just a totally different way to design a residential area. I was also surprised at how good the new road infrastructure was. You can see a very clear separation between streets and roads. There are no stroads here. For example, the businesses in this industrial area were accessible by streets separated from the main road, and accessible by roundabout. I talked about this in more detail in my video about stroads. Of course, there was a train
Stroads?
station with a huge amount of
Wow.
bicycles outside of it. Again, this would just never exist in North America in a town this size. We also stayed at a campground near Diepenheim, and I had to drive there to buy groceries. I think this
Bro,
place...
it's gonna take us to pretty much all the cities in the Netherlands. That is insane. I love this video. There's like a small footage for pretty much most small cities. That is so cool. I mean, some are not really small. Like the other one, he said there were like 160,000. Yeah, the population was 160,000. I wouldn't consider that small at all, actually. Maybe medium size, right?
surprised me the most because less than 3,000 people live here. And yet there were lovely houses on small streets, a traffic calming of course, and people of all ages cycling everywhere. What was even crazier was the time we ended up in Jutrijp. There was nice traffic calming everywhere, we saw lots of people cycling, but I really wanted to film this because it's a great example of rural transit in the Netherlands. A bus stop with a bicycle rack so that people can cycle to the bus stop. And this bus stop has buses that come every 12 minutes. And get this, for a village of 265 people. I know of cities 1,000 times that size in Canada that have less frequent bus service.
Bro, what?
We took our kids to the Bonami.
My city has 8,000 people. And I think the buses only comes throughout the day every 2 hours. Yeah. Except the morning, because the morning the kids will go to school to the bigger city nearby. So they would take the bus. Yeah, I mean, what the hell? Every 12 minutes. That's incredible. It's so well connected.
Computer Museum
impressive.
in Zwolle. This is on the edge of the city, about 4 kilometers from the train station, but it was still trivially easy and safe to get to by bicycle. The population of Zwolle is about 120,000 people. It was amazing to us how even these places in a random business park at the edge of a small town were still accessible to us with a train plus bicycle combination. I had never seen anything like this before. Also, the computer museum is amazing. You should go if you're nearby.
Wow, that is so cool. All the arcades, GameCube. I remember I grew up with this. I mean, I didn't grow up with this, but I had a friend when I was like, since I was 12 until I was 16, I would go to his house every day to play GameCube. Even though you will only have those Star Wars games that I hated, and you always would beat me on those. I never liked Star Wars. Game Boy, yes, oh my god, I have no idea. All the Pokemons were level 100 on this one. At least I had like 40 or 50 Pokemon at level 100 on this one. This one, what is this? Can't really tell this one what it is. Seems like VHS. I don't know. Oh, these are the old computers, like Macintosh. I'm not an expert on this. This is a radio. Is this a radio? Wow, this is so cool. Yeah, I definitely would want to go there. Oh my god, I want to learn more about computer stuff.
We stayed for a few days at a campground near Assen, so I took a drive into town to check it out. Of course, I was able to easily pick up an Ofe Fiets rental bicycle from the bicycle parking garage at the train station.
That is so
cool. I wanted
to
come here because David Hembro, a British blogger who runs the blog A View from the Cycle Path, lives in Assen and talks about it a lot. It was again an absolutely lovely small city, and it was really pleasant to walk around. And there were lots of nice residential neighborhoods all over. Of course, the cycling infrastructure was absolutely top-notch, despite it being a city.
What are they driving? What is this? I've never seen a bike like this one. What the hell? This is so weird. It looks pretty cool and fun, though.
Of less than 70,000 people. One of the suburbs of Assen, called Kloosterveen, looked cool on the map, so I decided to cycle out there. Of course, it was always perfectly safe and comfortable, and there were many other people out cycling as well for all kinds of trips. I just couldn't believe how good a small city could be. Kloosterveen itself was also really nice, despite it being a modern development. There was a mix of housing types, including single-family homes, and they were all connected by car-free walking and cycling paths. The crazy-looking circle thing was a pedestrianized center with underground parking and apartments, and all the shops you'd need on a regular basis. This proved to me once again that modern suburban neighborhoods don't have to be car-centric and crappy. I do think that Assen should have a tram line, though. Its public transportation is decent, but it's only buses. While we were driving back to Amsterdam, we wanted to stop at a grocery store, so we went to this random neighborhood called Vathorst outside of Amersfoort. Again, totally blown away. Look at this place.
Wow, this Lidl... Wait. That's the coolest Lidl I've ever seen.
Totally blown away. Look at...
Wow, that Lidl looks so cool. Oh my god. Our Lidls are not that beautiful. Come on. Oh my god, this is so amazing.
This place. This is as suburban as it gets. Right off the highway, but there was a traffic calming, a nice little shopping area that's within walking distance of houses. I meant to come back to film this, but I never did. But it really shows that good urbanism is everywhere in the Netherlands, even in new developments. It's not just reserved for a handful of old neighborhoods in the biggest cities, like it is in Canada. We decided to spend a few days in the town of Woerden because it looked nice. I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, but again, it was absolutely wonderful. There were pedestrianized streets all over the city center and lots of people out. There were modern developments that were extremely pleasant, and no giant stroads, no sprawling parking lots, and the train station was really nice too. It had a big outdoor parking lot for bicycles, as well as one indoors. And
I feel like only in the Netherlands you can find all those bikes, especially like a dedicated parking place for bikes. I've never seen that anywhere else in the world.
More on the other side too. And of course, regular train service, despite it being a town of about 50,000 people. Like, coming from Canada, this was crazy.
I mean, it is to me too.
A family friend came to visit us in the Netherlands. She had Dutch...
By the city, I mean, I don't know how to explain, because here in Italy we have the main city, and then there are many little cities that belong to the main city. don't know if that makes any sense. I don't know if other countries do the same or not. And it has like, with all the little cities in total, has like 200,000 people. But like the main city only has like probably 35 or 40,000 people. And our train system really sucks. Our bus system sucks even more. There's no metro, there's no tram. Bro, it's terrible. It's terrible. Most of the times I have to travel to another city that is like 25 kilometers away, no, 30 kilometers away, to take a direct train to go to Milan or to Torino. Because like it's crazy. I mean, to go to Torino, it's fine because you go to the other city and then you have already right there after 5 minutes the other train that takes you to Torino. But to go to Milano, you have to go to another city, even wait there for like 30 minutes and then take the train to Milan. I mean, it's not that inconvenient, but still, it could be better, because if I drive to Torino, it would take me about 1 hour. If I drive to Milan, it would take me 1 hour too. But if I go by train to Torino from here, it would take me 1 hour. If I go to Milan, it would take me 2. So it's a little bit inconvenient, but still, it could be better. Seeing that even smaller cities in the Netherlands have a better transportation system, it could definitely be improved right here. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Italy is not the best in infrastructure. I feel like Milan is really good. Torino, yeah, that too. Probably Rome as well. But yeah, it's not that good in smaller cities for sure.
Heritage, and we went to see some of her extended family. This brought us to Sneek, an absolutely lovely old town of about 35,000 people. They lived in this pretty typical Dutch suburban neighborhood, and it was really nice. The row houses were well kept, the streets were safe and narrow, and there were lots of things within easy walking and cycling distance. Of course, there was this nice little train station with a ridiculous number of bicycles parked out front.
Wow!
The city center of Sneek is pedestrianized, and it's a genuinely wonderful place to be. We went out on a boat and sailed through the canals. I just couldn't believe that a small town...
Bro!
We went...
This is so majestic! What the hell? Oh my god, this is so beautiful! Oh my god, if I travel to the Netherlands, I want to see so many places.
Out on a boat and sailed through the canals. I just couldn't believe that a small town could be this nice. As a point of reference, this is what downtown looks like in a similarly sized city in Canada, and I always assumed that this is what all small towns were like. I could never have imagined that a small town could have a pedestrianized city center before coming to the Netherlands. And yet, they're everywhere here. We also visited her extended family in Alkmaar, a city with a population of about 100,000 people, and I was absolutely amazed. This was a neighborhood of single-family homes in a relatively small city, and yet it didn't have massively wide streets with high-speed cars. It was quiet and boring, just like a suburb is supposed to be.
It just isn't a thing to have wide streets in Europe, right? Yeah, Turin definitely has many wide streets. Pretty much that's the only city, and I hate to drive there. It's really bad driving there. There are way too many traffic lights everywhere. Yeah, I hate it. I much prefer to drive in Milano. That's way better than this.
But it was also perfectly safe to walk and cycle. And it was directly connected to a local park with a network of separated bicycle paths that could take you anywhere else within the city. We saw so many kids out playing together and without any parents around. This is just a better way to design a suburb. I was doing a contract in the town of Zeist, so I had to travel there every week. I'm going to make a full video about this because it was the nicest modern train station I think I've ever seen. Like, this is ridiculous, right? A town of 65,000 people in Canada wouldn't even have a train station anymore. Never mind one that looked like this. This is just a small sample of the places we went to in our first few years in the Netherlands. There are many other places that we've been to, and I've talked about many of them on this channel already. I have another YouTube channel where I live stream my bicycle rides, and these live streams show a totally unfiltered view of what it's like to cycle in the Netherlands. I started doing these rides because I wanted people to see what it's really like here in between the places I choose to film, and it's nice pretty much everywhere, and that's really what I want to make clear to people, because what really struck me about going to all these random places, from industrial parks to suburban neighborhoods to small towns, was that none of them were bad. Sure, some places were better than others, and there are certainly lots of places that could benefit from better public transit. But I have yet to see any place in any city, town, or village in the Netherlands where I felt uncomfortable or unsafe to be outside of a car. And yet, when I think back to my time in Canada, I would go to places that I would call bad on a regular basis. And anytime I had to leave my neighborhood without driving, I just expected to feel unsafe several times. And literally any time I had to go to a location in a suburb or a small town, I absolutely had to drive. And I was surrounded by garbage like this most of the time. What's funny is that after a few years of living in the Netherlands, my idea of bad has shifted. For example, I absolutely hate Zijlstraat in Amsterdam, and I avoid it whenever possible. But in Canada, this would be considered one of the good places. This is what motivates me to keep making videos on this channel. I want people to understand that I'm not just seeking out the best parts of the Netherlands to highlight while ignoring the bad parts. There are no bad parts. Or if there are, they're so few and far between that I haven't seen them. A great example is my video about this business park by the airport. I just could not believe that a business park by the airport could be easily transit accessible, safe for walking and cycling, and even nice looking. Or this random business park in Amsterdam with a beautiful two-way bicycle path running right through the middle of it. I spent huge parts of my life going to business parks in multiple US and Canadian cities, and they all sucked. All of them, without exception. I always assumed that's just what they were like, and yet apparently they don't have to be. And the same goes for small towns. I hated small towns in Canada. They always looked like garbage with giant parking lots and a high-speed strode running right through the center of town. And yet here,
I feel like in Europe is the contrary, right? The smaller the town, the better it's gonna be.
small towns were lovely, and they were usually easily accessible by public transit. And they almost always had some kind of pedestrianized area. 5 years of living in the Netherlands has changed me forever. I can absolutely never go back to the life I had before. And the other great thing about living here for 5 years is that I'm allowed to apply for a Dutch passport, which is great because after traveling the world, I finally found the place I want to live, and I have absolutely no intention of ever going back. I'd like to thank my supporters on Nebula and Patreon who pay me to walk down memory lane. If you'd like to support the channel, visit nebula.tv/notjustbikes or patreon.com/notjustbikes.
The content of this channel is just unbelievable, right? Oh my god. It's really crazy. Go and check it out and subscribe if you're not yet. Not Just Bikes. Wow, this was really incredible, you know? I really enjoy learning about new stuff like this because, yeah, it's really interesting. It's really interesting. So yeah, I hope you did enjoy this video as well. Let me know what should I check out next to learn more about your beautiful country. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I wish you all a lovely and safe weekend. See you soon.